What evidence will be used to win our case at the ICJ?
The 1859 treaty was signed, it was ratified, it is a binding treaty. That will go before the ICJ as the main evidence in Belize's case. But in addition, there was the 1931 exchange of notes, which is also a treaty. The Guatemalans are in writing stating that they regard the 1931 exchange of notes as a corollary. Now, a corollary means that it is attached to something that went before. But if they're saying that the 1859 treaty is null and void, then what was the corollary? You can't have a corollary to nothing. Under international law, there is such a thing called universal, unilateral declarations. If they have declared that 1931 is a corollary to 1859, then they would have to prove that 1859 doesn't exist. Also, in the Libya-Chad case, the ICJ has made it very clear that once a treaty contains a boundary, it doesn't matter what happens to the treaty, the boundary will remain. This is exactly what happened in Libya-Chad, because they had a treaty of friendship and good neighborliness in 1955. But it wasn't a boundary treaty, but it contained a boundary. So when all the friendship and good neighborliness died, I think that Gaddafi thought that the boundary had died as well, and he found out that he was wrong when he went to the ICJ. Reading from what a Guatemalan historian, I guess, named Mr. Portillo, who has been involved in the whole Guatemalan question for a long time, looking at what he has written, you can come to the conclusion that Guatemala will go to the ICJ and try to claim that the 1859 treaty was a treaty of cession. But there is documentation that in 1857, Guatemala tried to get Britain to agree to a treaty of cession. And Britain said no, they would be prepared to sign a boundary treaty. So in 1859, it became a boundary treaty. Both countries signed it, both countries ratified it. If you rely on the Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties, a treaty has to be interpreted in accordance with the meaning of the words and the context in which the words have been written. The 1859 treaty starts off in the heading saying it's a boundary treaty. It goes on in the preamble to say it's a boundary treaty. It says boundary, 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 boundary in Articles 1, 2, 4, 3, and 4. So there is no doubt that it's a boundary treaty.